Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Dark and Creepy. All stories are written and narrated by me, MC Allen. I recently moved to a new neighborhood, and something's not right about it. When I first moved in, it was pretty sweet. Everyone was nice and treated me kindly, except this one man who lived alone in the house at the end of the street. But he never seemed to talk to anyone, so I didn't take it personally, and thought he must have been an introvert. So I didn't talk to him either. He wasn't what you think a generic introvert looked like. He was tan, fairly in shape, and overall a good-looking guy. He just kept to himself mostly, and would nod to me if I ever said hi to him, which was rare. Anyway, a different man and his wife came to greet me. They told me that they were Mr. and Mrs. Skinnard. They were what you would think as your soccer mom type parents. They asked for my email address because they put together a neighborhood group that would email each other, such as if they were going to inform everyone on stuff such as a neighborhood meet and greet barbecue, or if they were annoyed about someone's dog that barked through the night. So I gave it to them, thinking that I would at most get about 2 or 3 emails a day. But they sent emails back and forth. It was constantly blowing up my phone with emails talking about people with missing dogs or asking anyone if they could borrow their lawnmower. I wanted to just hide all the notifications from my emails, but however, I also receive emails from work that I need to see. So there's this one time that I was going through the email list, deleting the post, and saw a picture of a lost dog that caught my eye. I've seen that dog before. I asked myself as I thought about all the times I was going on jogs in the neighborhood or pulling weeds out in the front of my house. Nothing rang a bell. I examined the dog closer and noticed that it had 3 brown spots on its side that stuck out from its white fur. I gasped as I remembered seeing that dog on the dark web earlier. Now, I never did anything illegal on the dark web. I just enjoyed the thrill of seeing things that you could never find on the normal internet. I first saw the dog in a video named Doggy Go Bark Bark, as if it was some kid's TV show. However, that was the furthest thing it was from. In my boredom of scrolling through sites that day, this strange video sparked my curiosity, and so I clicked on it. In the video, the dog was strapped down to a table with all of its limbs chained down to the sides. In the anonymous chat, people were posting all sorts of messed up things on what they wanted to see happen to the dog. A person appeared on the screen and he was dressed all in black, except for a white butcher's apron which was wrapped around him. The main thing in the chat that people were requesting was that they wanted him to skin off the 3 brown dots on the dog and then feed it back to it. I clicked out of the video after that because I didn't want to see that, but before I did, it scrolled words across the page that read, "Join us next time to see a human." What the hell? I mumbled to myself as I thought about how that dog I saw came from the neighborhood I lived in, which meant that whoever made that video must live near me. I immediately thought about the man who lived at the end of the street, that never talked to anyone. He has to be the one. He's the only one that seems like he could do such a thing. I said out loud as I got up and looked out the window at the man's house. I could see a glimpse of the man's family room and some of his kitchen. I didn't see him there. I wondered what twisted rooms were in his house which sent chills down my spine. I went to the nearby convenience store and bought a pair of binoculars. They were cheap, but I didn't want to spend a fortune on something I wasn't going to be using that long. So when I got back home, I noticed that the Skinnards who lived across the street from me had a golden retriever that was tied to a tree. What more perfect bait than a golden retriever right in front of my view? I spent the rest of my Saturday just glancing back and forth between the Skinnards' house and the man's house. It began to get real boring until I noticed movement from the strange man's house. He walked to the window and was looking out. When I looked at him, I dropped the binoculars and quickly jumped out of view from the window. I saw him looking directly at me with his own binoculars. So many thoughts ran through my mind, and I worried that I would end up like that dog he tortured. I stayed out of sight for a good 2 minutes, and I looked back out the window, and the dog was gone. That night, I made sure to lock my door, and I got back onto the dark web to see if the Skinnard's dog was there. It took a good while to find the video, but it was being live-streamed. The dog was whining with a high-pitched squeal. I saw the same crazed man, dressed in all black with the butcher's apron on, holding a saw. That's when the video paused and the words that popped up on the screen read, "I know you know." After reading this, my heart pumped blood frantically. I didn't know what to think, but I knew I wasn't going to let him strike first, so I grabbed a kitchen knife and ran out in the dark of the night to the man's house. While I was going to his front door, someone grabbed me and yanked me into the bushes while covering my mouth. I tried to fight back and he said, "Shh, I'm not going to hurt you. When I remove my hand, don't scream. I need to talk to you." I did what he said and he let go of me. I then saw the face of the strange man dressed in normal street clothes holding a camera. He then said, "I know you know about the things happening at the Skinner's house." "The Skinner's house? I thought it was you who make those videos," I asked with a raised eyebrow. "No, I couldn't. I love dogs and they stole my dog Rex from me and I've been trying to gather evidence to incriminate them. That's why I have this camera," he said as he adjusted the camera's lens. I replied surprised and said, "Really? The Skinners seem so nice though." "It's all a show, and that's why I have to get evidence of them doing it because otherwise the police would think I was lying to them," he stated and then continued, "We have to move fast if we want to save that dog." I agreed, and we both went to the house, but there was nothing to be seen through their one-way windows, and that's when an alarm went off. I ran off and tried to hide in some bushes in their backyard, and I saw the man try to get inside the back door. It swung open, and the man from the video and Miss Skinner grabbed him and pulled him inside, slamming the door loudly. The police soon showed up and found me hiding. They took me to the front door of the house, and I tried to tell them what was going on in the house, but the police didn't listen to me. They just read my rights. They knocked on the door, and the Skinners opened up, and they were in their pajamas. The police asked in a stern voice, "Is this the man you saw?" "Yes, officer, that is the perpetrator. He tried to break into our home while we were sleeping," Skinner's wife said in a tearful manner. I tried to tell my part of the story, but the police told me to be quiet. The police then asked, "Did you see anyone else try to break in?" Mr. Skinner replied with a slight smile, "No, officer, he was the only one we saw." When I heard this, I knew what they were going to do to the man. "No, officers, they are lying," I screamed out as they had me duck into the back of the police car. "Says the one who was hiding in their backyard," the officer replied mockingly. They took me to the jail, and now I'm sitting in their waiting cell just thinking about what disgusting things they were going to do to that man. I have been in here for 2 days now, and though I have no family and friends in the state that could bail me out of jail, because I had just moved here, someone just did. I walked out wondering if some of my family members drove about 400 miles from home to get me out. So I walked to the front, thankful as can be. But when I saw that it was them, wearing their twisted smiles, my blood ran cold.